Okay, today we're looking at this situation where we've got blown plaster on an existing wall. Now this is a very common thing in houses, and it's a very common issue that can happen when there's a bit of movement or unsettlement. What today we're going to do is tackle this head on. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that there's no other areas that are blown. So what I'm doing is scraping along the edges of the existing blown areas to make sure that there's no loose plaster that is remaining. Now look for clues. There's a big crack running through the middle here. That is one area you really want to target because that's where most of the movement would have been. So check the cracks, and as you can see around the area it's really coming loose. What you don't want to do is fill in some areas and then find out further down the line that a lot of the wall is also loose. So you need to make sure that everything is scraped back. And when you find a point where it kind of stops moving and it stops pulling away, you're good to go. So the first thing, I'm going to PVA this area. We've got a mix of 3:1, 3 parts water, 1 part PVA. And what we're going to do is douse this area that's got the exposed base coat. In this instance, it's actually sand cement. So that's sand cement render, which is absolutely solid. If it's not solid, then we'll have to address that differently. And I'll show you a video at the end of this one where we'll talk about what to deal with that. But basically, this is a solid background, and the only thing that was affected was the blown area, the surface of the plaster, which is the finished plaster. That's what happens when we call it blown plaster. And what we're going to use to fill it is bonding. This is designed for medium to low suction backgrounds. Now that means we've got to work specifically on areas like plasterboard, smooth existing plaster, and in this case, undercoat plaster. This is designed for areas where there's not much pull. So where you wouldn't want to use this, for example, is like bricks, blockwork, or anything with a real high suction rate, because what it'll do is it'll just rip all the moisture out of that product. Bonding is designed for medium to low suction backgrounds, like we said, so it's ideal for this. Now the reason we did PVA it in the first place is so it doesn't pull too much moisture from that level of bonding. So if you are going to use bonding, make sure you PVA the background first, just to make sure that it lasts longer and it's going to maintain that composition and don't pull all the moisture and crack. So the first thing we're going to do is just fill in the main areas. All we're doing is pretty easy. We're just filling in the low spots in between where the plaster is blown, and we're making sure that all that area is filled nicely. The good thing about bonding is it's very good at building out areas. So this is about 3mm thick. As you could see before, it's quite thick in mix. It holds its body quite well, and it's very gritty, which means it's perfect for filling in these low sections beforehand. Now you might be tempted to think, should I just fill it with a finished plaster? I personally like to build and back everything out first. I do all my prep in one go, and I do it all beforehand to plastering. What I do find, if you plastered this in one go, you thought you'll just fill it, get the first coat and then fill it again, you might find that you're going to get a lot of movement and there's going to be a lot of indiscrepancies between the two areas. So to do the job right, I always fill these low spots first with bonding plaster, just to make sure that you're going to get a better job overall. Now you might struggle to get it flat. Look, I've got a bit more experience than maybe some of the people out there, so I can find it easy to flatten these areas. If you are struggling, maybe get yourself a speed skim or a straight edge, just to make sure that you are getting it flat compared to the rest of the wall. If you are happy just to do it freehand, a little tip is that I apply the plaster and then using the edge of my trowel, I work towards the existing plaster. That way we can get an even flat wall to what I'm working to. So I didn't use a straight edge here, I didn't use a speed skim. I literally just used the trowel and used the plaster on the outside as a guide onto working thickness. Like I said, we're working to about 3mm here, so it's not too thick, so it's actually quite easy to fill. And with the suction of the sand cement, it was pulling it at a nice rate where I didn't have to worry about it going off too fast, so I had time to work it. Again, this was pretty much all the way around the room. I've cleared the whole area, make sure there was no loose plaster beforehand, and then just gone and filled in the whole section. Now, when that's dry, we want to wait until it's dry, and the first thing I'd do is look for any cracks around this area, and we're going to quickly scrim tape them. We still want to make sure that if there are any cracks, we are scrimming it before we are finishing, and that's just to stop any movements following through on that top coat of plaster. So you always do the scrim first and then your PVA. Some weird reason, I don't know what it is, but scrim doesn't like sticking to any form of bonding whatsoever. It's rubbish, and obviously you don't want to try and stick scrim to a wet PVA'd wall, so always scrim tape first, and that is including before bonding, because like I said, scrim tape hates sticking to bonding. Got a nice strong mix of 3-to-1 here, and this time I'm going to PVA the whole walls. Now what I do is I go around once, I PVA the whole area, PVA everything including the existing plaster, because now after this step we're going to plaster the whole wall. We're not just going to fill in these spots that we work to, we're going to plaster the whole thing. And then once I've gone around once, I just go back on myself, focusing back on the areas where and just give it an extra coat of PVA as I'm doing it. The reason is, if this is just going to kill the suction, bonding is quite porous product, and it is going to pull that moisture out of that plaster, so really want to give it a minimum of 2 coats of PVA, or a nice strong mix of SBR. I know people are lovers of SBR nowadays, still not my cup of tea, but I can appreciate where the appeal is. Now we're mixing up our plaster. This is the finished plaster, this is multi-finish. This is designed to go on any background. It can go onto existing plaster, bonding, hard wall, sand cement. It's a very versatile finished plaster, and it's very good at getting a nice smooth finish. So there is a tutorial that I'll show you at the end of this video where I offer people to are brand new to plastering a crash course in that. So if you want to find out how to mix plaster, how to use a trowel, how to get the basics, check out the end of this video and I'll show you a link on how you can get started in plastering as a complete beginner. But once you've got the plaster mixed up, which is multi-finish, you can see in the bottom right corner. So multi-finish plaster is designed to go on low to medium suction backgrounds. Like we said before, it can be used plasterboard, smooth plaster, and undercoat plaster. Multi-finish is a very versatile product, so it's a very good product to use in this instance. What I'm doing here is filling in that scrim tape joint before, giving it a nice tight coat, and then going with it overall as a whole. And then all we're doing is just filling in the whole areas. What I will say is that sometimes if you don't use enough PVA or SBR in the bonding, it might pull that plaster faster than the rest of the wall, because bonding, like I said before, has got a higher rate of suction, which basically means it's going to pull more moisture out of that top coat of plaster. So you want to make sure that everything's primed correctly, and you want to make sure that when you are applying the plaster, it's almost to a tacky substance, because that way you know that it's still quite primed up and ready to go. If you leave it too long and then you leave it next day, the bonding might not have as much of a suction control to it, which means it'll pull all the moisture out your top coat, which make your life a bit harder to deal with. So apply the top coat when the PVA is quite tacky, and you're guaranteed you'll have an easier ride. Now in this instance, we are literally just applying the plaster. There's nothing new here, and it's nothing new that you've not seen before. So we're applying a nice 2mm coat of plaster onto the whole area. I don't believe in patching personally. Like, I know a lot of people are not against it, and a lot of decorators do it. I think if there was that much filling to do, and there was that much of a blown area plaster to begin with, then just plaster the whole wall. I don't see the point in feathering or patching in. You might as well just plaster it all, do a proper job, and in that way you can guarantee that it's going to be nice and finished at the end. So once you've got the first coat on, I give it a quick flatten in between coats, and then I go immediately apply the second coat. Now like I said before, if you are brand new to plastering, you want to learn the full process, how to apply the plaster, how to get the perfect mix, how to start getting legitimate information that is hand tailored to you bit by bit, and click the link below and you can have access to a crash course in plastering free of charge from Plastering for Beginners. Just click the link and we'll send you daily emails with daily lessons on how you can get started. But as a whole, this is how you deal with blown plaster. You just flatten the blown areas first, apply your second and first coat of plaster, and then you finish it as per. Now if you want to watch a full video on how to plaster a wall, like I said, click the crash course or click this video that pops up here on the left. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.